On the night of February 28, 2026, the joint U.S.-Israeli precision airstrike hit a highly secure compound in Tehran. The target was Iran's supreme leader, Ali Khamenei. Within hours, state media confirmed he had been killed in the blast. While members of the Iranian diaspora celebrated the end of his rule, the immediate reality on the streets of Tehran was chaotic. Thousands of mourners flooded the capital. The shockwaves from the assassination hit the global economy instantly. Markets in Asia plummeted as investors braced for a wider regional war. Within days, the crisis constrained global energy supplies. Slovenia became the first European Union country to implement strict fuel rationing for private motorists. A precision strike in the Middle East immediately disrupted daily life across the globe. Modern warfare means taking out a single political leader instantly fractures international supply chains and energy markets. Long before the airstrike, the Iranian state was already under immense pressure. By early 2025, inflation had soared, the currency had collapsed under strict economic sanctions, and the country was increasingly isolated. Externally, Iran's regional influence was eroding. The collapse of the Syrian regime severely disrupted supply routes, while extensive military conflicts had deeply degraded their primary proxy networks, Hamas and Hezbollah. Inside the country, mass protests demanding government reform raged from 2025 into 2026. The government responded with a violent crackdown, fueling further domestic unrest and draining state resources. By the time the missiles fell in February 2026, the state was already fracturing. The massive physical strike exploited years of deep economic and political rot to entirely shatter the government's remaining authority. The operation was executed through multi-domain warfare. This is a military strategy where attacks are coordinated across land, air, sea, and the digital domain simultaneously, ensuring the target cannot mount a defense. Intelligence agencies hacked into Tehran's traffic networks and closed-circuit cameras. They used this access to physically track the movements of high-ranking Iranian leadership in real time. Next, targeted telecommunication blackouts severed the command and control capabilities of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. The IRGC, Iran's primary military and security force, was suddenly unable to coordinate its troops or launch counteroffensives. The coalition also deployed psychological tactics, hijacking popular Islamic prayer apps on citizens' smartphones to broadcast anti-regime messages directly to the Iranian public. By dismantling its communications, tracking its military leaders, and manipulating public information, an attacking force can blind and bind an enemy state entirely through code. This satellite imagery shows the Fordo facility before and after the initial wave of United States airstrikes in June 2025. That earlier bombing campaign paved the way for the decisive attacks 8 months later. During the February 2026 offensive, a projectile struck and destroyed a structure just 350 meters from the operational Bushehr nuclear power plant on Iran's Persian Gulf coast. Rafael Grossi, the Director General of the International Atomic Energy Agency, publicly condemned the strike. The IAEA is the United Nations watchdog for nuclear technology, and they warned that attacking anywhere near an active reactor violates the core pillars of global nuclear safety. Stripped of conventional military options, Iranian-backed hacktivists retaliated asymmetrically. They deployed wiper malware, a type of malicious software designed to permanently erase data, against United States medical firms, and threatened to destroy water desalination facilities across the Gulf. When a military is systematically dismantled from the air and the internet, it cannot fight a traditional war. The surviving elements must attack civilian infrastructure and private businesses to inflict any damage. By March 2026, the physical bombing subsided, making way for a chaotic and murky information war. United States President Donald Trump suddenly postponed a planned wave of strikes against Iranian power plants. The White House publicly claimed this pause was due to highly productive back-channel peace negotiations. However, the surviving Iranian leadership fiercely denied any such talks. Parliament Speaker Mohammad Bakr Ghalibaf publicly accused the United States of spreading fake news to manipulate global oil markets and buy time for future military action. Behind the scenes, United States intelligence was quietly testing the waters. Officials were assessing whether figures like Golubov could serve as compliant partners to lead a newly structured government. Taking out a supreme leader with a missile is a matter of precise engineering and timing. But wiping out the deep-rooted networks of an entire regime and establishing a stable government in its place is a messy, unpredictable process that bombs and code alone cannot solve.